In our last adventure, we searched for an island to bury our treasure. But now it's time to forget the loot and think about our lives. The Fratellis are here. As long as this captain's got his trusty DIY pirate ship's wheel prop, you're as safe as a gull on a calm day. Har, 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 har,
Look out for those rocks!
All right, so to get this project started, the first thing I did was I cut a few old 2x4s for the handle and spokes for this ship's wheel. Then I measured from the center out all my reference lines for each of the details. I ran the 2x4s through a table saw, cutting a 1/4-inch groove on those lines. Now all the fancy carpenters usually use a lathe to round over all their spokes, but I kind of like the flatter style. I think it looks a little more hand-carved for this project. I used a disc sander to shape all the details on each of the handles. Next, I cut all the filler pieces in between the handles. I cut the curves in each of the 2x8 boards using a bandsaw. Each of the pieces were sanded smooth by using a disc sander on the outside curve and a belt sander on the inside curve. I cut the pieces perfectly to fit in between each of the spokes. And then I rounded all the edges using a roundover bit in a router. I created a template for the front and back cover plates, and I traced them out on pieces of 1x6. After I cut each piece out, I rounded over the edges. What's cool is once these pieces are all cut and glued into place, they will help hold everything together. Now for this prop, I really wanted to make it look old and weathered, like it had been on a pirate ship for many years. One of the details I like to do to make things look really old is raise the wood grain, and to do this I typically use lots of wire brushes and wire grinding wheels. It really does help to burn away some of the soft wood in between the wood grain. And it really helps if you have a full can of gas and your flame's not going out on you every 5 seconds.
Hit puree!
No! I'm too young!
Now that I got all the wood burned and the wood grain raised, it's ready for paint. And the first thing Jeana did was she applied a dark wash over the whole wheel so that you could still see the wood grain details underneath. Next, she sprayed the captain's wheel with water and applied a watered down off-white color to give the wheel a salty sea weathered effect. Then to add some fun detail, she added some bright colors to make everything pop and look a little more kid-friendly. When we created the Ghostbuster firehouse, I made a slime pipe gate valve with a spinning hand wheel. I just used a large bolt with a lock nut and some washers for it to spin on. But for this pirate ship wheel, I'm going to use a 1/2-inch gas pipe instead. So I'm hiding a pipe flange just on the inside of the wheel for the pipe to attach to later.
I love the dark, but I hate nature. I hate nature.
And just like the nature theming details we added to the pirate treasure chest prop, like making all the pirate loot into items you'd see out in the forest, or details like the pirate ship crow's nest up in the treetops, we decided to make the captain's ship wheel prop with a tree stump pedestal. So the first thing I did is I made a plywood structure to give me the basic shape, and I installed a pipe that a 1/2-inch gas pipe could fit into. Then I attached pieces of foam to the plywood pedestal with expanding spray foam. Once everything was covered with foam, I sculpted out a tree stump using several files and little wire brushes. I left the back open so we could add sandbags for weight and access the spinning pipe. I also added some plywood to the bottom to help protect the sculpture when you slide it around. Next, it was time to cover everything with aluminum foil to protect the foam from the polyester resin and fiberglass hard coating. Just like some of the past projects, I sprayed a concrete mortar mixture over the fiberglass for added strength and texture.
What's that, a Cracker Jack prize?
Another detail from nature we thought would be fun is to add wooden carved acorns to the ship's wheel that looked as if they were carved by hand in the wheel itself. I used a tree pole cut down and shaped with a disc sander. I also used a Dremel to add some of the fine little details on the acorns. And then I burned and wire brushed to raise the wood grain on each of the acorns. Jeana used several layers of black and brown paints to give the tree stump lots of dimension. Once everything was finished, Jeana clear-coated and sealed the entire project. To secure the wheel, we installed the 1/2-inch gas pipe with a washer and an end cap. This pirate prop out of all of them was my personal favorite to make and fit in perfectly at location. It was a fun addition for kids to spin and play with, and it made for a fun pick with the entire family. Well, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Arr!
You're gonna live with me now, because I love you.